Hey, hey, hey to all of my podcast fam. It is so good to be back with you again. I am Pastor Steve, and these are your motivating moments. I am so excited as always to share this time with you. Listen, guys, I'm going to tell you, if I just wrote down everything that was on my heart to bring to this microphone, to bring to these videos, and just share the times with you, man, I don't know when we would stop because I know that there is a war against your mind, there's a war against your time, there's a war against your resources, all aimed at depleting you and keeping you from reaching your most dynamic and meaningful goals in life. And I want to be a part of the journey that is keeping you fueled and keeping you moving forward. And I am, again, just stoked to be here with you today. However, you're consuming the content. Maybe you're on a plane, maybe you're in your car, maybe you're in a quiet place and you're studying, maybe you're mowing grass. I don't know. But whatever you're doing today, thanks for joining. We would love it if you enjoy the content of these podcasts, if you would subscribe, if you would share, if you would comment and leave a review wherever you consume the content. That will help us in getting the message of encouragement, the message of motivation out to so many more people. And you have that power, and I encourage you to go ahead and use it. And if you want to jump in with us online someplace, you can find me at most all of the social channels at Pastor Steve Evans. Jump on there and follow along with us. We're going to try to be keeping you updated there. Also, if you want to visit us at motivatingmoments.online, you can also find our website there. I am available to book for speaking engagements or coaching for your teams, whatever you need. We're there with you. So, you know what? The only thing I don't like about this conversation here is that it's just one way. It just feels like it's one way. It's me talking to you. So I'd love your comments. I'd love to hear how life is going. I would love to hear how the podcast is helping you. It's encouraging you. So please, by all means, feel free to leave a comment wherever you are consuming the content. So, well, let's jump into our subject for today. And today I want to talk with you for just a few minutes about consistency. Consistency. I want to encourage you to keep showing up. How many days, hands raised all over the place? How many of you have days that you just feel like you don't want to go? You don't want to show up. You don't want to keep driving. You don't want to keep pushing. You just don't want to show up today. And sometimes maybe you do show up, but you show up in body only. You leave the heart, you leave the passion, you leave the drive, you check it all at the door, and you're just there. I want to talk to you today about consistency and keep showing up, all of you, all of your tenacity, all of your drive, all of your passion, all of your vision, all of your vigor coming through the door with you. I don't care if the door, maybe you're working from home and the door means that you walk out of the bedroom and into the kitchen or into your personal study or office space, whatever that is. Maybe it's not physically a brick and mortar space, but when you get out of bed in the morning and you set your mind and your efforts and your energies to go in somewhere, I want to encourage you to show up consistently. Let me share with you my fatal flaw. My fatal flaw, or my flawed thought. Excuse me. My flawed thought is this: that I want things to be easy. Do you want things to be easy? Or are you like, am I just talking to myself today? I want things to be easy. As a matter of fact, you guys have been following the podcast any length of time. You know that I come at this from a perspective of faith. I am a Christian pastor, church leader, and I'm going to tell you the scripture says that whom the Lord loves, he chastens. And I got to be really honest with you today and say that many are the times that I have been in situations that my instinct, my impulse from out of my flesh, my initial reaction to a situation or circumstance was to whine, to whine, to bemoan how tough it was, how unfair it was, how uncertain it was, and just really, really, really be all tore up over the way it was. And it is in those moments, oftentimes, that the Lord has chastened me, that He has dealt with my heart and convicted me and said, you know, sometimes, Steve, the things that I give you, that I'm wanting to give you, you're going to have to fight for them. You're going to have to travail. You're going to have to press. You're going to have to keep operating by faith and inconsistency until you see it come to pass in your life, because my plan is not as much what I want to do for you as what I'm trying to do in you. So sometimes we're going to face those situations in life. I think I inherited this flawed thought process when I was in school. And I am not trying to brag. I'm really not. I say this in all humility, but when I was in school, and don't tune out. I don't need any haters. But when I was in school, um, I was just one of those people. I didn't study for exams. I did not take extensive notes in class, and I did not fret over the test or the pop quiz or whatever. And I still scored well on the tests. I still scored well on the tests. And what that taught me was that because there was a standard set before me that maybe did or didn't push me to my potential, it taught me that I could give half the effort and still score well. And I've got to tell you something, even in well into my adulthood, that is something that I still grapple with. I fight with it. You know, if your story is very different, if you're one of those people that said, Pastor Steve, you don't understand anything, man. I've had to fight and scrape just to get a B average and just to, graduate. I heard a gentleman tell a joke one time. He said all of his brothers and sisters graduated cum sum laude or something like that. He said, I graduated, Lordy, how come? So maybe you're in that space today and say, you know what, that's not my experience. And good on you, because you know what it means. You know what I'm talking about. If you've gotten anywhere in your life, if you've made any significant achievement, you know it's because you continued to show up. You continued in consistency. Your disciplines, your habits, you exercise those in great consistency. And the one thing I have learned in my adulthood is this, that the more audacious my goals, the more complex my problems, the more complex, I'll say, my challenges. And in that, the logistics are harder, the resources required are greater and harder to come by. The amount of energy that needs to be spent far exceeds what I'd like to give sometimes. And here's the thing: high capacity leaders and people who achieve their goals do not quit just because something gets difficult or something is difficult. They're consistent. I want to encourage you today to be consistent. Now, I want to be really careful here in identifying the difference for you between consistency. I do not want you to confuse consistency and monotony. Consistency and monotony. You cannot, your goals are too important, your dreams too big to confuse consistency and monotony. Listen, when I'm talking about consistency, I want you to understand that Nothing necessarily has to happen because you go to the same places and adhere to the same routines. That, my friend, is the definition of monotony. Nothing necessarily happens because we perpetuate habits. We have got to be intentional, showing up to mindlessly do the same things that didn't work yesterday and haven't worked for some time is monotony. And, I've actually encountered a lot of people in my life, in my ministry, in my work that have the mindset that because they've been at a job, they've been on a job, at a job for a given number of time, a given number of years, a given number of days, that they feel that they're due certain things. Like they've got seniority, they've pulled rank, they've got tenure, whatever you want to say. But the truth of the matter is they're not excelling because they've not applied themselves. They've not been focused with their time and their energy. They've just been kind of occupying space. And in the end, they seem confused by this lack of advancement. And granted, now I do say, I want to hasten to add this because I know somebody's giving me the eye roll right now, but there are workplace injustices. I talk to friends all the time, and they are hardworking, very purposeful people, highly desirable people, and they should get the advancement. But there's a lot of people out there, they don't get the advancement, and they don't get the advancement because simply showing up, breathing the air, and occupying the space is not a worthy effort to receive the advancement. So we don't advance. We don't get closer to our goals. So things happen. Things happen when we passionately, intentionally, consistently pursue our purpose. That's when things happen. Consistency is not only showing up, but it's being very intentional in our approach once we're there. We don't mindlessly show up and go through the motions. We're focused on our benchmarks for achievements, and we're directing our efforts and our energy towards them. And we keep our attitudes in check as it relates to our mission and what it is that we're trying to accomplish. And it's been said that the requirement for success is, if at first you don't succeed, try again. And I want to give you a little something today that I hope will help you in developing consistency in your life and in your work, your whatever your goal is, your career, your ministry, whatever application you plug in here. I want to help you today because I want to give you something that I really believe will help you with consistency. We talked about consistency being an intentionality in our approach, that we're not showing up mindlessly to go through the motions, but we're focused on the benchmarks for our achievement, and we're directing our efforts and our energies in that way. We're not distracted by a million other things, but we're very clear on what it is we're trying to achieve, and we're being very intentional in our efforts to achieve it. We're keeping our attitudes in check as it relates to our mission. That is consistency, and we're doing that with great regularity. We're doing that. As a matter of fact, I would suggest that we're doing that daily in some way. I know we need rest days, we need Sabbaths and things like that, but as it relates to the way that we spend our time and energy, we're doing that, and we're doing that on a daily basis as much as we can, okay? And back to that stated requirement. It's been through so many variations now. I don't even know who to accredit the quote to, but it's been said that if at first you don't succeed, try again. Well, there's some truth to that. That definitely speaks to a resolve and a stick-with-itness, a tenacity to not give up. That definitely does that. But I want to add something that I think will help you in your consistency, and that is this: that if at first you don't succeed, probably redefine the win. Redefine the win, because you're probably not losing on as grand of a scale as you think you are. No, you may not be kind of slaying the giant, as it were. You may not be kind of mounting the summit, so to speak, but you probably are not losing in as grand of a fashion as sometimes it feels like. Progress is slow. Progress is often very slow. I know there are seasons when you can hit a synergy, when you can really, all the things are clicking, and you can gain momentum, and you can really move things through seasons and things like that. But sometimes slow and steady is what wins the race. It's just the meticulous attention to keeping on. And let me say this: less the intentionality. Consistency does feel sometimes a lot like monotony, because it just seems like you're doing the same things over and over. But the difference is you're doing it with great purpose, great intentionality, and there is a strategy there that is has some degree of validity to it, that says, hey, if you just hold the course here, you're going to make it. You're going to make it. I was recently consulting with a friend of mine about an issue that I was facing. And they said to me, listen, Nehemiah, stay on the wall. Stay on the wall. In other words, don't be distracted. Don't come down, because the work you're doing is far too important for you to engage in this distraction. You stay on the wall. Sometimes staying on the wall it seems, very slow, very meticulous, very, very laborious. But you just stay on the wall, and you consistently keep showing up brick by brick, joint by joint. You will see things begin to be built up in your life and around you. So back to redefining a win. Now, in that, I'm not suggesting society has done an awful injustice in many cases in redefining wins. And what has happened in that is that the bar has been so lowered that it really works against ambition, and it really works against anybody's drive and zeal. Because it's easy to hit the standard. It's like when I was in spaces in school, I just wasn't being challenged, and I was lazy, and I could pass all the tests without studying, and it didn't really press me to excel. And there's a lot of that going on in society today. We're not really being pressed to excel. So I'm not suggesting that you lower the bar to try to make it easy, and that you live your life always settling for the low-hanging fruit all the time rather than going for the gold. I am saying that maybe you didn't accomplish the entire goal in totality. But I want to ask you this: are you closer to your goal having invested yourself today than you were yesterday? Then you've won. Are you closer to realizing your dream today than you were yesterday? Then you've won. If you've made any forward progress whatsoever, then you've won. That is the motivator then to come back tomorrow and take one more step, day after day after day after day. Listen, it doesn't matter where you go. Anywhere that you go, if you walk across your house, if you walk from your house to your driveway, wherever you are, that trip begins, ends, and progresses through its duration, one step at a time. One step at a time. Whatever it is that you're trying to achieve, whatever goal it is that's in your heart, in your mind, whatever prize that you're looking at moving towards, that journey will start, that journey will continue for its duration, and it will finally come to its conclusion or the realization thereof with single steps, a series, a succession of single steps. Now, are you closer today than you were yesterday? Of the things that you tried that didn't work, here's another caveat. Are you closer today than you were yesterday? And you may be listening to this right now, and maybe you're shaking your head and saying, "Oh, Steve, no, I'm not any closer today than I was yesterday, because today I spent doing this thing, trying this idea, and that idea didn't work." Well, then you are closer today than you were yesterday, because of the things that you tried that didn't work. Aren't you glad to know what's not working as it relates to the end goal, so you can now give your time and attention to something else? You've passed by that bad idea. You've passed by that failed concept. You've passed by that thing that didn't move you any closer. So that in itself is a win. That's a win. You don't spend any more time on that flawed thing. You're done with it. It's over. Write it in your book, journal it. It's done. Move on. There's one less obstacle in front of you. You're making progress. See how easy that was? I love helping you with that. Listen to me, and I'm going to close here. But one step forward is one step forward. Oh, I just want you to remember that. One step forward is one step forward. And I can hear the collective duh-hus coming back at me right now as you're listening to this. That seems so obvious. It seems so obvious to us for everybody else. It seems so obvious to us right now hearing me say that. But one step forward is one step forward. And this is where it really gets interesting, because it may not be the prettiest step forward, but it's still a step forward. It may not be the expected step forward. Let me clarify. You may not have expected your last idea to fail, but now you know, and you can move on to the next. Again, it may not be the expected step forward. It may not be the prettiest step forward. It may not be a huge step forward, but a step forward is a step forward. A step forward is a step forward, and we don't really need to get too caught up on the adjectives that describe that step forward. Listen, you not only have what it takes, you know what it takes. And if I were to wager anything right now, I'd say there's somebody listening to this podcast that's going to hear this podcast, that's going to watch this video. And what you realize and what you're convicted of in this moment is that you've known all along. You've known all along, but circumstances have lied to you. Situations, you have bought the suggestion of situation that says, "Hey, just stop. I mean, who are you fooling? You're not you. No, you can't, you don't, you won't, it ain't." And slowly but surely, we let consistency give way to monotony, and we're just surviving one day to the next, to the next, to the next. And friends, I just want to encourage you today to break that cycle. You've not only got what it takes, you know what it takes. So let's be consistent. Let's purpose in our hearts right now that, you know what, today is a new day. Maybe you're on your lunch break right now. When you get back at it this afternoon, that can be the beginning of a new era for your life. That you can change things. You can begin with a forward progress. You can regain momentum in your life. You can regain momentum in your marriage. You can regain momentum in your career. You can regain momentum in your ministry. Just keep putting one foot in front of the other with great intentionality in your disciplines, great intentionality in the way that you represent your work and you represent your brand, and the way that you think about what's going on in your life, and keep moving forward. Hey, again, I'm Pastor Steve. It's been great to share this time with you today. I trust and pray that you are encouraged by our time together today and this word. And I am praying for you, friend, to stay motivated. Again, if you like this content, we encourage you to share and subscribe and leave us a rating and review if you can. It'll help others find the podcast. And we're just believing that as we do that, we're just going to build a community of people that are advancing in their purpose. And hey, we love you. I'm praying for you. And as always, I hope that you stay motivated.